Hello, everybody. This is Howard the Teaserking coming to you with the Thanksgiving edition of Teaserking. Um, it was an average week last week. Um, a lot of games that I was going to play got postponed because of the virus. I was going to lock Texas. I was going to lock Maryland. Every game I couldn't play Marshall. It was crazy. So I had to go to my fourth or fifth best games to lock. The Texas Kansas would have been an easy winner. Army under, which is always good. If you watch the highlights, Army fumbled at their own one, and then the guy fumbles. Then the Georgia Southern scores quickly, and then Army has the ball again, and at the 20, fumbles, and the guy goes in for a touchdown. So 14 points, and that kills an under. The game was played properly. Army plays everybody under, and they played them tight. But there's nothing you can do when you get those kind of turnovers. There, I think Army had a new quarterback, and he then played better in the second half. But it happens, and that's why it's gambling and not just 100%. Um, the pros, it's like they're really running weird. There's a bunch of you don't really know who the best team is anymore. Probably Kansas City's still there, but they're not. Against Oakland, they were hardly dominant. Oakland almost looked like the better team there. Um, Baltimore keeps losing, and then Pittsburgh's 10-0. They're probably the worst 10-0 team there's ever been. I mean, they're not even close to the '70s Steelers, and they'd have like a 13 and or 14-2 or season, where they'd lose 2 games or 3 games. They were much better than this team. Um, they really haven't played too many people. Pittsburgh, I think they beat Tennessee and they beat Baltimore, who every time Baltimore plays a big game, Lamar doesn't show up. Too many interceptions. He can't run because the defenses, when he plays good defenses, they know what he's going to do and they shut him down. Then he's got to pass, which you can't do. There's a big difference between Lamar Jackson and Mahomes, right? Mahomes can run when he needs to, but he's going to throw the ball downfield. He's going to make you play coverage. And Lamar's looking to run, and you can only run so much and in certain situations. If you're down 14 points, you can't run. You don't. It's not going to work. You don't have time. The defense is expecting you to do that. So this is his shortfalls. That's what happened to him in college. The other one, Tagliabua, he got pulled. He was, I think he had 100 yards. He was like 8 of 15 for 100 yards or something. Um, I want to go through a quick comparison about quarterbacks, right? So if we look at Justin Herbert, now he's a rookie and he was the fifth or sixth draft pick. He's 68% completion, throws for 300 yards a game, 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Then we go to the next rookie, Joe Burrow, and he throws for 65%, 269 yards a game, 13 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And that's with Cincinnati with a bad line. He gets sacked. He's been sacked 32 times, which is the most. Or no, somebody got sacked 40. Carson Wentz. They have a worse offensive line than Cincinnati, but that's what you have here. And then you got Tag, who's now played in 5 games, and he throws for like 100 yards, and he's got 6 touchdowns and no interceptions, which is good. He doesn't throw the interception, but he doesn't throw for any yards either. I think it's 100 or 120 yards a game in 5 games now. So you say, well, he's a rookie. Well, I just gave you the rookies, Herbert and Burrow, and unfortunately Burrow got hurt, but Herbert's played 9 games, and Burrow's played in 10. So, but they have the yards per game. Like Herbert, 300 yards a game, 22 and 6. So it's not necessarily the touchdowns that I'm looking at, but the 300 yards a game. And Miami, now one thing hurting Miami, they don't have a running attack, but still, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's look at him. He throws for 236 a game. So it's the same team, right? Ryan Fitzpatrick, 236 a game, 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So that's where Tagliabue should be in the 200s, and he's terrible. I mean, he throws short little passes and not for many yards. He'll hit a touchdown on a short drive, but if you needed him to drive you down to win the game, I mean, they already pulled him last week. So that's what I mean about being afraid to bet Tagliabue on Miami. Why Fitzpatrick isn't starting doesn't make sense because Miami, they're playing very well. So let's go through some of the NFL games. I got a big lock in the pros going this week. Huge lock. Love this game. Um, let's go Miami in the if Fitzpatrick plays, but I don't even want to go there. So let's do the Pitt Baltimore game for Thanksgiving. I'll get this video out as soon as possible. Pitt's laying 5.5, over under 45. In the series, the dog is 7-0. Baltimore and the dog are 6-1 in Pittsburgh. So the game's in Pitt. It's a close scoring game. The first game I think was 24-20. Pittsburgh won at the end. These teams know each other, and it's always a very tough game. I like the game under 51. I don't think it'll get there, but I like Baltimore better getting the 11.5. Now I know I talked about Lamar Jackson, but he'll be all right in this game because he faces Pittsburgh enough to know what to do. So let's break the numbers down. Baltimore as a road dog, and I got to go back to 2017, from 17 to this week. As a road dog, Baltimore is 12-0. They're 5-7 against. Pitt 17-8 is a home favorite, 16-9 against. But for them, if I go back to 18, Baltimore is 7-0 as a road dog, and Pitt's 12-5. But again, Roethlisberger, I think he played a little in 18. He didn't play in 19. So since 19, Pittsburgh's 9-1 as a home favorite. And Baltimore's 3-0 as a road dog, but 10-1 as a road favorite. They're 13-1 on the road in a teaser. So Pitt's 9-1 and against 7-3. This year, Pitt's 9-1 in a teaser. Baltimore's just 6-4, and as I've told you several times, they're a terrible home favorite. Here we got them as a dog on the road, where they revel in being the dog. Like I tell you, this is psychology, and what that means is certain teams like certain roles. An example: the New York Giants are 11-1 as a road dog. The Giants, they stink, but they're 11-1 as a road dog. Arizona, 10-1 as a road dog. And you know my San Diego 8-0 as a road dog, and Seattle 7-1 as a road dog. Houston's 10-2 as a road dog. Buffalo 8-0. So when these teams are the dogs and they go on the road and they're the dogs, they play extremely well. Conversely, Buffalo at home is 8-1 against as a home favorite, and Houston 8-2 against. San Diego 8-0 against. So here's San Diego 8-0 as a road dog and 8-0 against as a home favorite. And even last week, everybody was, taking the Jets, and I couldn't, because I know the Jets for some reason were going to play. And then when Flacco was the quarterback, I was going to play the Jets, but I couldn't. But look what happened. San Diego barely wins. They win in a teaser, but the Jets cover because San Diego is a home favorite, all of a sudden gives up a lot of points to an incredibly weak Jet team. So what I'm trying to say is this is why I look at the trends. Uh, and it's just one piece of the puzzle, but you're putting the puzzle together, right? So you're trying to establish who to take. One thing that hurt me last week was three or four of my teams, the Bears and Buffalo, weren't playing teams that I normally would pick, and so I couldn't. And then I had such terrible matchups. So you got to realize each week you got certain matchups, and I always refer to it like a poker game. You get hands that are 2-7, you're gonna fold them. Well, when you're picking football, when you get a week when there's a bunch of 2-7 games, you really can't do anything with them. And when you get like Tampa and the Rams on Monday night, I didn't pick it. I lean towards the Rams as the dog, but I don't want to go against Brady and Tampa on the road. The Rams came through, and they showed me something there, and Tampa showed me something too. When you got a top cornerback like Ramsey taking away your best receiver, that's going to be a matchup problem for Tampa Bay. Just like New Orleans gave them an ass kicking. However, when they played Green Bay doesn't have that type of defense, and they were able to get Green Bay with the interceptions and jump on them. So that's what you're trying to learn the team and the psychology. With Tampa, it's all new team. You got Brady, you got Gronk, the defense. You got some new guys there, so you can't. It's got to mesh. It's got to be chemistry. So anyway, back to that. So Baltimore, you can see, is a strong dog. Pitt is a home favorite. Is good. Then you go to the series, and in the series, it's a dog series all the way. Especially when Baltimore is the dog. Very strong there. So I'm taking Baltimore in the 11.5. The under is also a good play, but it could get high scoring. But there's no way Pitt's going to blow Baltimore out. Baltimore needs the game. Now, when you look at standings, which I like to use as another variable, Pittsburgh's 10-0. They're not pressed, right? They're not coming off a loss. They're not needing the game. They need the game to stay a game up on Kansas City, but otherwise, they don't really need the game. And Baltimore desperately needs it. Now they're fading from the playoffs. They're 6-4. Cleveland's ahead of them. Baltimore needs this game, so they're going to be really extremely fired up. Pitt, there's just something. It's like a golfer, right? He's got a 5-shot lead, which is about what you're seeing here, because Baltimore is just about clinched their division, and then it'll be them and KC for the 1 seed. But you look at a guy with the 5-shot lead in golf, and what does he do? He plays it safe. He plays for par. Doesn't play for birdie anymore, and that's why they lose a lot of those tournaments. Greg Norman, and I can go down and down to the list where the guy had the lead, and here Faldo just keeps making birdies, and Norman keeps trying for par, and then he makes a few bogeys, and next thing you know, Nick Faldo wins the Masters over Norman. So Pittsburgh will not be as pumped as if they were tied with Baltimore and needed the game, or a game behind Baltimore, or this was the last week and they're playing for the 1 seed. All those little incentives aren't there for Pittsburgh right now, but they are for Baltimore. They must win this game against the team that they played very well with. They wouldn't surprise me if they won a 24-21 game somewhere along that line. Pittsburgh will not blow them out. They know each other far too well, and Baltimore has to win the game. The fact it's Thursday night really doesn't play into it. Baltimore, especially after last week's loss, will be extremely pissed. And I look for a great effort by Baltimore, and they're capable of it. I'm going to give you the second game will be a college game. I love college this week. I played a 25-unit lock. Absolutely, but it's a pro college lock. Excuse me. So in this lock, very strong team playing a very weak team. My A's playing my Z, and that's very strong. I'll give you Let me give you a Friday game. UCF minus 24 and a half, over under 67, playing South Florida. And I'm very close to locking this game. I haven't locked it yet, but I played it for a big amount. UCF is what I look for against these Z teams. So, what is everybody? Well, UCF's an over team. Why are they an over team? Because UCF UCF scores 43 a game and gives up 30. They played Cincinnati very well, and for them to score 30 points on Cincinnati is incredible because most teams are lucky to get 10. So that just shows you how explosive they are. South Florida scores 20 a game, gives up 38. They're a Z team. They throw for 193, they run for 137. They only get 330 yards a game. They got a new quarterback, this Noah Johnson, who's one of these scrambler runner types. But when you're down, it's not going to help you. And we know Dylan Gabriel. He's no Mackenzie Milton, but he's okay. Um, 370 yards passing a game, 200 yards running, 587. So what you have here, as I've just explained, is a pissed off UCF team that lost, they need the game, but in college it's different. They're not going for the playoff, unfortunately. Cincinnati could be, but not UCF. And this is a dream scenario for me. This is what I like. This is what I look for. Here's South Florida, a team with no defense. They give up 38 a game, playing a team, UCF, who gets almost 600 yards a game, 42 points, put up 30 on Cincinnati, who's got an Ohio State type defense because it's the Ohio State ex-coach. So what you have is just a beautiful match. UCF's going to put up at least 50 points in this game, maybe 60, because they're just going to keep pounding it. Plus, it's not really a rivalry, but they're both in Florida, so UCF for recruiting wants to get this win. They're far out coaching South Florida. South Florida or UCF's the defense, which has been hurting them, won't be too bad against South Florida because South Florida doesn't really have the offense. The only way this game can be remedially close is UCF, just gives them pick sixes all day, right? Like the Army game, a fumble at the goal line, at their own goal line, a pick six, a punt return, the odd scores. But UCF probably won't be punting too much, and they're going to look to pile it on. Again, it's a rival South Florida where I got burned with Clemson earlier in the year when they pulled Lawrence in the fourth quarter, and the guy comes in, never played, and throws an interception, and they're not trying, and they're just running with 10 minutes left, and they got a big lead, and the other team scores. Well, you're not going to see UCF pulling their quarterback until real late in the fourth quarter unless they're up 50 points. Here we got 24, so we only got to win by 18. I mean, it's not like we're laying 40 and we got to win by 34 and we're worried about it. We only got to win by freaking 18 points. It's 3 touchdowns. UCF will have that covered by half, and you're just hoping that they keep piling it on in the second half. But this is a dream matchup. You've got the strong offense going against the very weak defense, and then you have a team, South Florida, without a very strong offense. So as UCF scores, like Cincinnati was able to keep pace, and Memphis was able to keep pace, and SMU was able to keep up pace, but not a South Florida, not a Temple, not a Navy. They can't keep up with them. So that's what you're going to have. It's the perfect scenario. So take UCF minus the 24 down to 18. Take it with Baltimore. Now remember, Baltimore's Thursday night. UCF is Friday night. Let me give you a Saturday game in case you missed the Baltimore game and you can't find it. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you Clemson minus 24 and a half against Pitt. Clemson again is an A team, 45, score 45, give up 19. Pitt scores 29. Fairly good defense, gives up 22. But remember, Clemson's still coming off the loss. This is a game where Lawrence will be playing, and Clemson's still pissed off. They're not number one now. Notre Dame jumped them. So now they're not going to win by 20 points. They're going to win by 50 points. And in the offshoot that they do pull their quarterback, we now know the second string quarterback can play. He showed that at Notre Dame, and he showed it the week before against Boston College. Now he knows what to do. So if they do pull Lawrence with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter because they're up 30, you're not going to see him pulled. So here again, you're laying 24 and a half, so you're down to 18. Pitt, if you look at Pitt's number, okay, they scored 29, they give up 22. They throw for 270, run for 110, 380. And that might seem good like in the pros, but in college, here's Clemson. They throw for 354 and still run for $150. So they get 500 yards of offense. So, so 270 in college isn't really that much. It's decent, but it's not that strong. So that's basically what I'm looking at is you got an A team, strong offense, strong defense. Pitt, good defense. So again, in college, like here, Clemson's averages 45, North Carolina 43, Wake Forest 40, and Pitt's 29.8, 30, and they give up 22, which is good. But Clemson will eat that for lunch. They won't have any problem moving on Pitt. You can't really stop when Lawrence is in, and he's pissed off. Their whole team's pissed off. That game last week got canceled. That was going to be a big play for me. So that's what's happening this year. Is you're getting a game, and then all of a sudden, it's canceled, right? And that game was the Florida State called it 3 hours before. Friday night, I got the bet in, and Saturday, I got the bet refunded. So it's very frustrating. For everybody that these games are getting called so late, and when I do this video, I can't. If they're playing now, I got to assume they're playing. I put the pick in. I'm assuming Clemson's playing, and I'm assuming my lock's good. It seems less in the pros that a couple of guys will get COVID, and they keep playing anyway. Where unless it's like the whole team, like Tennessee was, but otherwise, and then even like these guys get tested positive and then they get tested negative and then they're playing. So I don't really understand what a positive test means because either you're sick or you're not sick. But in college, it seems like more where they're postponing games for whatever reason. Like the whole team gets it. I don't really know. But it's funny when I look at the injuries. There's an injury site, so I go through all the injuries, and there'll be teams that the whole, like USC, and everybody's question. There must be 20 guys questionable, and so you don't believe it. You go, well, unless the guy's got like an injury, he's hurt his knee, broken arm, something where it's an obvious he's out at the ACL. You just, I don't know, illness questionable. I assume the guy's playing. I don't know why he's listed as questionable. But anyway, so it's been a up and down couple of weeks. I had a huge week 2 weeks ago. Last week wasn't a bad week, but I had to keep changing my locks, which hurt me. Had I just had my normal Texas over Kansas, Clemson, I had Maryland locked over Michigan State, so I had to get rid of 3 strong locks, unfortunately, and then the one I ended up picking, the Army under, was who was it with? It was with Wisconsin, and that's the trap you fall in when these teams like this year. This is what's different. The lesson learned this year: you've got to wait 4 or 5 games for a team. Here, Wisconsin just destroys their first game against Illinois. Then they destroy Michigan. They run it in defense, and Michigan can't get a first down. And then they go to Northwestern, who doesn't have a good offense. And Wisconsin looked like an amateur, like a high school team. Their receivers went out on routes. They just stood there right next to the secondary guy. Nobody could have thrown. Joe Montana couldn't have completed passes. The receivers had no clue how to run a route, so they just run straight. The defensive guy would pick them up. The quarterback had nowhere to throw it. Um, so Wisconsin kept going 3-and-out. Their defense played well. Northwestern's defense did not look that good against Iowa or in their other game against, I can't remember the other one, Nebraska. I mean, they didn't blow out Nebraska. They didn't shut down Nebraska like that. So it was very surprising. I liked Wisconsin's quarterback, but again, that's what happens. Wisconsin wins that game all day and night in a normal situation. So a lot of it was, oh, Wisconsin even at Northwestern. Northwestern's, decent defense, but they don't have that strong of an offense this year. So, but you got to be careful. And then these COVIDs, right? So all of a sudden, a couple guys test positive, and you don't know who they are. I don't know. I can't name the top receiver at Wisconsin or the offensive linemen that are, you just assume if it's an offensive lineman, they bring in another one. It's hard to bet where, the right guard's got COVID. Oh, I'm not going to bet the game. I've never ever not bet because of a lineman injury. I might take the other team if 3 or 4 linemen are out, but not if 1 or 2 guys, and especially like Wisconsin, they got 10 offensive linemen, so you're really not worried about it there. Um, then you got teams like Minnesota who looked terrible the first few weeks because their guys were all injured and all on COVID. And then now they're getting all their players back and they go beat Purdue. So now they've changed. So you've got to kind of keep up with it as teams change their personality. Now, we know Ohio State, we know Clemson, we know Alabama. Alabama's pissed off this year. They're covering every week. Um, they got a purpose. See, and this is what happens when a good team gets pissed off. And I'm giving you Clemson this week. When they lose and they're pissed, they kill you because they got the talent to kill you and they got the coach to kill you. They kill you. Believe me, I was gonna lock Alabama against LSU. The freaking game gets postponed. So every time I got a real strong game going, I can't play it. It's postponed. Now I don't know if they'll play it or not, but LSU beat them last year pretty bad, and LSU's kind of weaker this year. Their quarterback, the new quarterback's out. He looked pretty good. So Alabama was going to bury LSU. But again, so that's what we're running into this year is a lot of the games that we've got lined up. Minnesota, Michigan State, boom, here comes it gets canceled. So that makes it really frustrating. And then learning the new teams, how good's Rutgers, how bad's Michigan, teams like that. Michigan State looks terrible. So you're watching this. Temple has a lot of quarterback injuries, so they're not as strong as they look. One quick comment about Carolina and the pros. Sorry to keep jumping back, but whatever comes into the mind that I can help you with. So here's Carolina, and I'm hearing the radio guy. I was in the car, and he goes, "Well, how can you bet on PJ Walker? He's only thrown XFL passes." And I'm going, he was really good at Temple. I don't know what this guy's talking about. And then he's bad mouthing Will Greer, who was great at Florida and great at West Virginia, and I can't figure out why he's not playing. And he's bad mouthing PJ, and I'm like, wait, this guy was really good at Temple. The fact he threw passes in the XFL, and guess who the coach is? Temple coach, and there's several players from Temple when they had a really good team. So he comes in, and it didn't surprise me any that Carolina just killed the Lions, and that Walker had no problem. So whoever's playing for Carolina this week, and they're getting 4.5 from Minnesota. Whoever's quarterbacking, I'm not worried about the quarterback provided points for them. Um, so don't worry about that. These backups, they just don't get the chance, or it's a difficult system for them to learn. But Will Greer is outstanding. I made a lot of money on him, and he transferred to West Virginia. That would be my honey to go over in a lot of games. So I know what he's capable of. I don't know why he's not given the chance. And like I said, Justin Herbert's the real deal. Joe Burrow, sad that he hurt his ACL, but he's the real deal. Look for Cincinnati to be real strong next year. This is how they're building. Joe Montana's first year, he wasn't that good. Peyton Manning wasn't that good, and then they built it and got better. So keep an eye on them. Okay, you got the games. Take Baltimore in the pros Thursday night. Take the 11.5. Take UCF laying 18. They'll kill them. It'll be 40 or 50. Take Clemson off of a loss on fire against an average Pitt team. They don't scare me. Their defense gives up 22, but not like it's like not like not like a Georgia defense that gives up a lot. Look at Cincinnati. Cincinnati gives up 15. See, I'd be more scared against Cincinnati, who scores 40 and gives up 15, than I am Pitt, who scores 30 and gives up 22. So I mean that doesn't scare me with Clemson. Off of a loss, they'll be pissed off. So those are your three. Good luck. Happy Thanksgiving. 25-unit lock going. Strong college play with the strong pro play. I think I have 4 teams in locks. I'll probably have 6 because I'll probably play the heavy-duty lock in all other games. So keep that in mind. If I give you a lock, let's say I gave you Clemson as a lock, it's going in 2 or 3 teasers. So when you find other games that are strong, play them with Clemson, or play whatever the lock is. Play them with Cincinnati. Play them with Marshall. Whatever I'm giving out. Baltimore. Put them in multiple teasers. See, the key is you're finding a game that's very strong, right? UCF. They're going to kill South Florida. Well, if they're going to kill them, then can I find another equal team so I can bet a lot of money on them, 20, 25 units, or do I play them like for 20 units with a good team, then I got another good game here, and then I can play them again. And that's generally what I do. So that's why when you look at my stats, that's my thought process. I could just give you the teaser team. I could say take UCF, take Cincinnati, take Clemson, take North Carolina, and just give you the one piece of the teaser and say, well, here's 10 teams, you can match them up. And that might be easier for some of my clients and some of you guys. I don't know. I've been doing it so long and I'm at such a high level that my thinking is always, if I love a game, like figuring out the game to love is the key, right? Well, once I figure it out, I play them in 2 or 3 teasers on purpose because I've already got one half of the teaser, right? I know this team's going to win. And then it's becoming, who do I play it with? And when I feel another strong team, boom, and then it's the lock. If it's the right point spread and everything, the right injuries and stuff like that. So that's really the key to what I'm thinking and why you see, why do you have San Francisco in 3 teasers or Clemson or whatever? And that's the reason, because I love the game and should win based on my history and my stats and my thinking. And like Baltimore, they play them well. They need the game. They have to win the game. Lamar Jackson, nobody's seriously injured. I think their defense is a little bit injured, but I guarantee you everybody will play this week because this is the game they need. So there's certain injuries. The guy tears his ACL, he ain't playing. Joe Burrow ain't playing. But there's certain injuries where they tweak an ankle or they tweak a knee or they tweak a back and they're questionable. They all play. because they know how important the game is. So I'm not worried about Baltimore's injuries this week. But then that's what you, oh, I'm getting 11.5. So the point spread makes it a higher bet, right? I'm not giving points. I'm getting over 10 is beautiful. They're not going to lose by 10, by more than 10. And then I find other teams, and that's what happens. Oh, I got to put Clemson with Baltimore. Hey, we can put, I can put Cincinnati with Baltimore. So you can do all that. Um, so that's the logic of how to bet teasers. Once you figure out that team, Baltimore plus them at Clemson, UCF, once you find it, then it's boom, boom, boom. You play a three-team teaser. But again, the odds on hitting all three, even though they're good picks, so you don't bet too much on them, but you like the odds, and then you tease them together. And I always play 6-point teasers, 7 points. I don't really see the extra point being a big. The way I look at game, like here, Clemson, do I need them? They're 24.5. Do I need them down to 17.5 versus 18.5? I don't think they're going to win by 18. I think they're going to win by 35. So I'm not even playing the game if it's coming to that point. All right, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. I wish everybody very, very healthy holiday and enjoy it. Lots of football for us. And again, www.teaserking.com. Big 25 unit lock, other lock. This should be a very strong week. As I talk, some weeks are very weak. Last week got hurt by all the postponements. This week is very strong. A lot of college games. And I got 5 good pro games that I'll definitely be playing. So this week should be a strong week. I try to help you and say, look, this week's not going to be very good. Be careful. Let's bet small or just watch. And then I get a week like this, and I'm looking at pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket kings. This is a very strong week. This is the week you want to be betting a little bit more. So anyway, happy Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend. www.teaserking.com. Thank you very much.